was the paper. That's the issues I was having. Alright. I'm not gonna get all these different areas. I could soften some of these, but doesn't matter. But it's fine. I'll leave it that way. And that one there. Let me see. This one is that one, and then this is. Actually, let me fix this. Hard edge. Like weird. It starts traveling down a little bit right here. Right there. Just some areas. And then so I guess it was the paper. I was having a lot of issues with the paper, and I would get these spots. The paint it wouldn't spread evenly, and I would see that, and I would get into trying to fix that by, putting more paint or removing paint, and I would just end up messing up these watercolor paintings. Because this over here, this paper's, oh, beautiful. So I'm just going to continue to work with arches. And if you look at that magazine by Splash, the majority of the artists that show their work there, 90, what, like 98% of the artists that show their work in that magazine Splash, it always tells you the size of the painting. It tells you what paper they use and what medium, what brand of watercolor they use. And a lot of time, the paper that they use, 98% of the time, is arches. So yeah, I'm gonna just stick to working with arches. And then this is that darker shadow. I'm gonna fix that shadow and make that. Well, I'm gonna adjust that. Fix that. There's I think a gray. I'm gonna gray it up because that color is like a gray. It's like a gray right here. It's gray, and then like this. brown, golden brown, golden brown. There's a little hint more blue in there. Does have a little hint more blue. Does have a hint more. Let me see. Let me add more Persiana. For that, just close for that edge. This is fine. It's right there. And then, stuff. Yeah, I think that's better. Then over here, there's an area. There's an area where I could, it logs in this way. Okay, let me get that in there. This is okay. Look at this blue in there. See what happens. I just added little bit of green. That's a green. Got a blonde. Let me get this. else is going on? People are still. I should have went and got me an egg and bacon sandwich when I left the house earlier. Gonna eat. Here we go. No. Holy shit, that's bullshit.
There are polls and then there are predictions. The polls are giving President Trump about a 10% chance of re-election. The political betting market, known as Predicted, has his odds upwards of 40%, although it is declining today.
Don't tell me that shit. CBS. Let's see what they say. Here it goes. That's it. Nothing going on. Election results will begin at 7 p.m. What time is it? Okay. Okay, gotta come back now. Some hints of red, subtle. Put it there. Right here. Just want a little bit. Like when it gets to this part, you gotta go a little slower. And then over here, I could put a little can zoom in a little bit. Zoom in a little darker. Zoom in with this, but that looks like a rose. Give me something darker. Nope, that's not it. This one is rose again. the, where did I get it from? Here it goes. Now, here, there, spreading this way. Okay. Let me block some of this and reshape it. Then I'll reshape it. The color behind. And okay. Let me try a little bit. Let me get this one. Now I'm gonna readjust. I'm gonna make some color for the. Okay, but before anything, I'm gonna get this to sit a little down. Right, let me put this here for now. Let me clip this down here. Okay. Now I need touch this one here. And then I'm gonna use this over here. And I'm gonna make a color on my let's go with a alizarin. Where's the pink? Okay. Now I'm gonna apply the blue in there. And that's good. Let me see. And if I make this a little more red. Okay, let's try this then. I need another batch with more blue in it. Oops. Let's go over there. Okay. See something. last month. I don't know why they haven't underlined. Okay, let me log out of that. Let me saw this. I already know she's been confirmed. I don't know why the hell did I think that I have to watch this again. Okay, let me. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, what is this? Oh, this bitch is nuts. She's nuts. Gotta be nuts.
What's up, boys? Welcome back to the Blaze E channel. I'm guessing that's going to say that. It's been a while. I know I haven't actually been posting on this channel. In fact, I don't think I've actually been posting the channel since changing the name, so a lot of you are probably very confused. What's up? In today's video, I thought we could react to an absolute masterpiece of a very angry Karen. Because, let's be honest, who doesn't like an angry Karen video? Especially when she makes fucking stupid faces like this.
Oh,
Exactly.
shit.
Absolutely want to see that. So apparently with all the shops being closed now, the next best thing apart from speaking to a manager is a taxi driver. Now, oh god, fuck, her face already illuminating on my fucking screen like that is already fucking terrifying me. I want to change the frame. Fucking shit, why the hell is she like Amy Schumer? Amy Schumer, is that you? Amy Schumer. Are you laughing? You're not me? Nobody's laughing. Nobody of us right now. Nobody's laughing. Amy Schumer, what the flip are you doing? Why are you pulling your fucking tongue out like that? You absolute creep. I thought it would be bad if Noel was up with the taxi driver, like he's clearly like honestly apologizing and admitting to it, which is more than most people do. And this was just being a fucking straight up asshole while being fucking hella creepy at the same time. Good shit. Yes, bro. I'm sure that's the first thing that came to his fucking woman's head. Wow. Can't believe she just got cut up in the middle of the road. Wow, my driver sure is fucking hella cute for that. I'm just generally confused on how these fucking Karens' brains even process like information. I really don't get it. How does she come to the conclusion that the woman in the back finds this cute? Bro, the man just keeps things that cut up fucking Karens attractive. Ooh, there was a keeper.
Instead of apologizing, like a bitch. Stopping in the middle of the road is gonna help. You being a bitch is gonna help. I don't know. Calm down. Calm down.
Bro, that's it. Fucking Karen is definitely off her medication. Fucking confirmed. That's the only reasonable fucking conclusion that I've come up to here while watching this video. There's absolutely no way this woman is on meds. She's got kids. Let that sink in. This woman actually has children. There are kids right now in this world being raised. Fucking hell, man. Just think about that. There are children in this world right now being raised by women like this. Fuck.
He apologized. He apologized. Yeah, I know.
And you know what? That is upset me. Because if it's not close,
Sorry.
and you have calmed down, what I'd like you to do is apologize instead of being a bitch.
You're sorry that you're calling me a bitch.
Oh,
Instead of being
sorry.
offended that
I'm
well.
sorry. That really calling you a bitch?
Your windows open.
They can't hear me because they're listening to his stuff.
Oh, yes. It's well known at this point that kids got just eliminates any other sound in your like ear. When you're listening to Kids Bop, there's just no other sound. It's scientifically proven. Look at this chart here. Scientifically proven. While you're listening to Kids Bop, no other sound can actually travel through the ear canal, as you can clearly fucking see. Scientifically proven.
Yeah, Mr. White. Yes, science. Fix.
Also, the camera's like fucking Casper the Ghost right now, which is also putting fucking zoom into that. Bruh. It's like she fucking died and it's a Karen fucking energy. I don't like this.
Attitude? That's sick.
Wow. Whoa, she hit the glass. She's fucking mad, bro. I'm yet to have the pleasure of meeting a Karen in real life. That's going to be my big hope in life. I know it. I cannot wait. I'm so hyped to meet a woman like
Why
this.
the hell? This guy's videos suck. I don't want to hear you talk. Just show the freaking video and shut up. I don't want to see this guy no more. this paper here is that is great. It's moving like the arches. Just want to see if I can fix that. Okay, let me drop this part. Fix that. Now let me add more adjuster here. That's the thing I didn't with this paper. I don't know. I'm gonna have to just do this darker because I can't fix that. Alright, let me try something different and work with the dark. Just to really make it look, even the eyes, and just see what I can do with this. Adjust it this way. And should be bigger. That's a little better. Let me try the little on this side. Let's see how that looks. Let me put a little bit of warmth. Give it that white. See if that helps. The face just doesn't look all that great. His face is real long. I don't know. Yeah. You see the difference? The way I have issues right away with the paper. I'm just gonna leave it like that. Let me soften some things. Let me get the brown. Get the brown in some places. And I'll do that. And now I'm down over here. And then some over here. I'll adjust this. Even the way the brush feels on the paper feels different. It's so slippery. And as soon as the paper gets wet, it starts breaking down. So, hands are red. The knuckles, so we'll do that. Draw the eye from the face. Which one's back here? Still. I got more green. Keep it real loose. Over here. Gonna have to make that a little darker. Can use that sides and how can I soften those sides? Corner, bring them more in. I guess bring them more in. Yeah, that's a little better. This is shadow. Okay, you cannot do like bail, like do it by mail. You could have done. Yeah, they have. All right. Well, okay. Why you don't like the other guy? What's bad about him? You said two pieces of shit, so that's bad. Yeah. So I mean, if you say two pieces of shit, that means you don't like the guy. I mean, so. Well, yeah, I guess so. I guess so. Yeah, I'm not really happy for it. I just got home from bowling. We had painting on watercolor. That's it. Not much. Just relaxing. Yeah. Painting. You're not doing no art? Surprised you're not. Huh, Fernando? You said you're not doing any drawings or anything? Why can't you keep a sketchbook near your chair where you sit down and, while you're watching a movie, sketch? Just always sketch. Have a sketchbook in your chair and just sketch. Okay. So I'm gonna get you a sketchbook, but that sketchbook, you're gonna have to keep it just in the chair. You can't move it nowhere else. You can't put it anywhere else. Alright? No, I'm serious, because if you move it somewhere else, then you're not gonna use it. You know what I mean? It's like me, when I keep a book in the bathroom, and And every time I use the bathroom and sit on the toilet, I have a book that I go through. No, no. I'll take 20 minutes in the bathroom and I'll read a couple of pages and then that's it. And I'll keep that book there, then I keep one in my bed when I lie down. You know, I, it's always good to have a book somewhere where you can, you know, you know. I mean, I guess you don't like, unless you don't like to read. I mean, I don't know. Oh, um, they got those glasses now in writing. I said, are they? Why? Oh, do they? Cause I, oh, oh, no, they have a prescription on all of those glasses. That's what I'm using right now. Cause I sat on mine. The ones that I paid $200, my round ones, I freaking sat on them. They broke the handle broke, so I gotta get some. I gotta send it somewhere where I can weld it. Unless they do it. I don't know if the glass plates work. Somebody told me I should go back and do the guarantee. I think it was you, right? Cause I told somebody and they told me, oh, you should just go back to where you bought them and use the guarantee. You know? Because I paid $275 for those fucking glasses. Paid a lot of money. No, I mean the ones I'm using now, they're the ones I got from Rite Aid because I had nothing. But once I sat on mine, I didn't have my glasses. But those I paid $275 for. So I had no choice but to get these from Rite Aid, you know. And they help. I mean, I'm using them. They're working. They're working. So I have no complaints. Until I get something better. Uh-huh. Oh, that must be crazy. Oh, wow. I wouldn't want to live on top, underneath somebody like that. You gotta break their legs. Holy shit. That would be bad. Well, as a matter of fact, you know what? The person that I live underneath, he doesn't tap dance, but this freaking guy, I think he's like Frankenstein. He walks so hard. Oh my god. And then he has this laugh that he laughs. It just pisses. He goes like a freaking he laughs like a yeah, man. Then he sees me in the elevator and he says like hi to me and freaking ignore him because this guy doesn't have no consideration. It's like I'm living underneath you. I mean, you know, walks real hard, man. Like, yeah. Uh huh. She doesn't. She doesn't turn the TV off. Holy shit. They heard you. Yeah. But how you know they heard you? But they could hear you from your apartment. Yeah. Wow. And what they were doing? Running around or what? At 4 o'clock in the morning? How old are these kids? Oh yeah. Wow, that's bad. That is bad. And you know, people don't have no consideration. Yeah, I know, I know, I know, I know. You know what you gotta do with people like that that keep you up at night and you can't sleep because they're freaking banging and all that shit. You gotta buy a stereo system with some speakers and screw them onto to your ceiling. You know what I mean? All over your house, and then blast it. Or buy a big, a strong stereo with big speakers and play it, and keep them up. Keep them up. That way, they'll go to sleep when you go to sleep. You see what I mean? Yeah, that's horrible, man. I couldn't live in a place like that. I would go nuts. Especially me painting, you need silence when you paint, you can't. Yeah, I would go nuts. Wow, shit. So who you think is gonna win, dude? Well, you know me. You know who I'm voting for, right? You know what it is. You know why you don't like Trump? Because you haven't done your research. You have not done your research. You know nothing about the man. And what commercial? A zombie? I didn't see that. Uh huh. A zombie. So, being that you watched The Walking Dead and Biden made a commercial with zombies, it's pissing you off. Oh God. Oh well, it's he's trying to be funny for Halloween. That's probably why. Oh wow. Yeah, well, that's probably somebody in his campaign that. But I don't understand what he said. What are you saying he said? That Biden walks around like a zombie? Is that what you? I don't know. I gotta see the commercial. I'm gonna look it up after I get off talking to you. Yeah. But let me tell you something. One thing about Trump, he everything that comes out his mouth is not always right, but he still does what he's supposed to do. The jobs are coming back. The jobs are coming back. Jobs are coming back. Jobs are coming back. He secure the border. He secure the border. All these people that were taking our jobs with the border, all the drugs come in through the border. Well, a big part of it comes through there. 95% of the drugs were coming through the border. Yes, it was. It's fact. It's been fact checked. It. All right. Well, I can't. It's and that, and also jobs. A lot of jobs were going overseas, and he's bringing all those jobs back. He gave those farmers a lot of money because we were losing money. The farmers were going out of business. The people that produce our food, they were going out of business. So he gave them a stimulus check for because being of uh-huh. No, come on. No, he did. No, he took the he's getting the money for the money. Yeah, okay. But that's not where the money came from. The money came for the Chinese that have been anyway, let's get off the truck cuz now you're not making sense. All right. Yeah, cuz you're saying the money from the cows. Come on, that is the most dumbest thing I've ever heard. Yeah, but that's not. No, that's why it's good that he's got money because the lobbyists cannot buy him. He can't be bought. Yeah, he can't be bought. All right. But I can't expect you to say anything because you don't follow the news. You don't know what's going on. All you do is watch movies. So how would I can't debate with you about politics because you just don't like the guy because you just don't like the guy. And that's not how it works. He's done a lot. He's done a lot. He's done a lot. He's done a lot. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right. All right. All right. All right. Fine. Look, Fernando. Fine. Fine. Anyway, listen. I just called to see what's up, and that's that. Yeah, I know. So anyway, I'm gonna go. I just called to see what you're doing, and that's it. And say hi, and that's it. All right, buddy. All right, Fernando. All right, take care. Can't talk with a person like that. Doesn't know shit about politics. Back and forth. Dislikes Donald Trump because he believes everything in the media. Everything he watches in the media, he believes it. It's not like a person that has went online and done their research and they know. And then the words to debate with a person that you know. All right, let this dry, and I mean, well, at least I fixed the eyes. Let me see. Let me try another one. Is there another sheet of paper? Yeah, I can do another piece here. This was what was this? And this was a painting of a boat. Let me fix this. Where's this picture at? Where the hell this picture went? The original. The picture that I used to draw this. It's you see, I start this thing and I never finished that. Let me see if I can find it. This has a bow, has something there. I can't even see this image. House is over there. I don't even know what that is over there. Now, if I find the image, I can make sense of what's here. Let me see. That one. No, that's not it. And then, let's see, where is this image? Sometimes I pull images from. my laptop that's in the room. I probably should get that laptop and bring it over here. But then I won't be able to. Okay. How would I? Oh, I will have to log into that monitor over there. Okay, so that I can't find the image. I'm looking for this image. I can finish this. Where the hell is it? Nothing there. How about here? I don't know where I got this image from. I can't find it. Then they have, I can't find it. Let me see, maybe, hmm. I don't know where I got this image from. This house is over here. Oh, this was like, it was, these boats were beached. I started with the sky. What the hell was I thinking when I did this? Let me see. Find out where did I get this image from? Alright, let's just back page I can do. This is another one with the boat. So this one didn't come out all that great either. The way I shaped it. Building. So this is one. Let me get the proportions right in landscaping. I don't know where this image came from. This one I never finished it. There was a stud. What the hell that was? Yeah, this is the crossing watercolor. What is this? Which paper here? Is it this one? No, this is Carson watercolor aqua. This is the paper I purchased. And I didn't really like too much these. That was Carson. This is another piece I never finished. everything starts at, okay, 6:15 at 7 o'clock. Coverage, special option coverage. Line. Okay. Let me finish this one. I don't even know where this image came from. Let me see where this image came from. See if I have it on the tablet. Where was that
One missing.
Is it on? What do you think? I do, I hear you.
Okay, I got it. I found it. Okay, this is that. Let me wet this a little bit. Let me take this down. Take this down. Let's see if I can fix this. Let me do it this way. I don't trust that one. Ohio. I don't trust those polls in Ohio. No way. I don't trust those. I don't trust that one. They'll screw it up. Presidential election 2020. River huge blog. What the hell is this? Alright, let me fix this.
Michael, hello?
So this is going that way. I don't know why I got that edge like that. See if I can fix this. Let's try this. Let me see if I can fix this. This is coming this way. So then this is gonna come. This is okay. I guess. Wait a minute. Not to come out. Alright, I'll do it this way. I'll face it this way. This is gonna come. This is coming this way. And over here, let me see if I can remove some of this stuff. This has to be removed also. I should have left this more white. It goes to show how I was painting a while back, because this came out horrible. Just like this. Then I'll flip it up. Like that. And this is yellow over here. I mean, blue. Yeah, that's blue. So I'll do this brown. see if I can reuse this paper. Do some got everybody out there. Trunk lights all the time. There's some things over here. And then it goes like this. Just like that. Okay, that goes like that. Then there's a thing that comes this way. Some people over here. There's a person back there. Rotating. And there's something like that. Move over here. Something back here. This window here that's all dark. That. This looks better than before. Oh, we got the person.
The disco balls come in, it's crazy.
that way. This is going to go this way. Going this way. Everything over here is coming this end. Seeing that I already did a painting on this paper, so I gotta try to fix it. See if I can fix this. Some more blue over here. It's a little better than before. a lot better than what it was, how it was before. Let me do this now. The little areas. So I was able to fix this one. At least I was able to fix this one. This is, oh,
Welcome to Yahoo's 2020 Election Night Special. You're looking at a live picture of the White House. I'm Jen Rogers. While this may all feel familiar, maps with poll closing times, electoral college votes being tallied, this election night, like so much in 2020, is unprecedented. As we begin, let's just reset our expectations a little bit for what tonight looks like. Patience is going to be key. There's a good chance we will not know tonight if President Trump wins a second term or Vice President Joe Biden will be the 46th President of the United States. Here's what we do know, though. With a global pandemic raging, we have seen historic early voter turnout with 100 million people casting ballots before polling places even opened today. We could surpass 150 million votes for the first time in U.S. history. Polls have started to close, including a number in key battleground states. 7 p.m. at 7 p.m., Indiana, Kentucky, South Carolina, Vermont, Virginia, parts of Florida. Georgia was also set to close, but a few districts extending the deadline after some earlier issues. 7:30 p.m., we just passed that. North Carolina had been scheduled, but voting has been extended at 4 polling sites, delaying results, Ohio and West Virginia. And then 17 states at 8 p.m., including the rest of Florida and the key state of Pennsylvania. Let's look at the Yahoo Election Center for early results right now. And again, this is early. This is a long night. What we can tell you is that President Trump has been declared the winner in Kentucky, while former Vice President Joe Biden has taken Vermont. These are small in the stakes of the Electoral College. Kentucky's 8 and Vermont is 3. And of course, this is a contest to get to 270. So we also can call that President Trump has taken West Virginia as well. Going through the election center right now, of course, we have a lot of eyes on Florida. 58% of estimated votes in there. It is very tight right now. Florida counts fast, actually. Don't be surprised if there's a Biden lead. We are seeing that right now, just above 50%. More Republican counties in the Panhandle. Those close at 8 p.m. Georgia, again, we already told you about some of the slowdown there. Can be a little bit slower to count, so we'll see how we do on that front. I want to bring in a panel here. I am joined by Yahoo Finance's editor-in-chief, Andy Serwer, Yahoo senior political correspondent, John Ward, and HuffPost politics reporter, Tara Golshan. So, Andy, I want to start with you right now and talk about some of the data that we're starting to get from the Associated Press and the AP Votecast, where they have data on voters. And overwhelmingly, the majority of the voters said the pandemic had affected them personally. About 4 in 10 said their household had lost a job or income. They also had data saying that people, 2/3 of voters saying that their choice for president was driven by their opinion of President Trump. What does that tell us at this moment?
Well, Jen, President Trump, of course, is the main event here. I don't think that's a surprise. And, all the drama and the momentousness leading up to this one night, we're finally here. And of course, the topic is all about Donald Trump. It's really a referendum about Donald Trump and his leadership in terms of his personal style, his policies, and how he's led this country through the pandemic. So far, though, we're not seeing any surprises. It's very, very early. Those three states that have been called were all predicted to go: Vermont to Biden and West Virginia, Kentucky to Trump. You're seeing some returns, as you said, coming out of these other states. Florida does have 50% counted, but we're not going to probably know that for quite some time. And I'd be very wary if you see these states leaning one way or the other to draw any conclusions in some instances. And I think those six swing states are going to be absolutely essential, which is Florida, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Arizona. That to me is the whole ball of wax, because I don't think there's going to be a lot of surprises when it comes to places, of course, like, Kansas or California and New York. So we'll be watching. And of course, the counting is so important in all those states, and they count differently. And so that's going to keep us up probably very late at night, and maybe tomorrow and some days after that as well.
Let's go to John Ward on that, because John, we've heard about this possible blue mirage in Sunbelt states that report mail-in and early votes first, and then a red mirage in Great Lakes states that report in-person votes first. As Andy said, I mean, it's this sort of patchwork, and also we've never been through this with this absentee tsunami in terms of how many ballots were cast early. So what should we be looking at here? Is it the margins that are important? Is it how many votes are outstanding at this point? What are you watching?
Well, yes, we are going to be looking at the margins in some of these states that are going to be reporting early tonight. But I have to say, any hopes for Joe Biden to have a huge early lead in the early returns in Florida has not materialized. There are a few good signs for Biden in Florida, but by far the headline out of the first 35 minutes here of returns coming out of Florida is the shocking results out of Miami-Dade County. I want to throw a few numbers your way. 4 years ago, Trump won Florida by 117,000 votes out of 9 million votes cast altogether. In Miami-Dade County, Hillary Clinton beat Trump there 624,000 to 333,000. Donald Trump, with 84% of the vote in Miami-Dade, has 457,000 votes in Miami-Dade County. That's 120,000 more. That's his margin of victory from 4 years ago. That's just from Miami-Dade. Now, if it doesn't mean necessarily that Trump is going to win Florida, but Joe Biden's path to victory in Florida just got a lot harder. And if Donald Trump wins Florida and the presidency, what happened to Democrats with Cuban American voters in Miami-Dade County is going to be a massive, massive story.
Tara Gulshin, going to you on some of the demographics and what we're looking at here, because as you hear John talking about the votes that President Trump has consolidated in Miami-Dade, a look like the Republicans are saying that the Democrats got all their votes early on in the ballots that were cast the last few days and few weeks in some cases. They needed to get out a lot of different bases here. Do we know anything in terms of the demographics, the suburban women that we've heard of, the people of color, how people were able to get out that vote? Do we have any insight onto that yet?
I think I'm just going to caution that it is still really early, and as much as I would like to know that and have some tea leaves to look into, the exit polls at this point I'm taking with a grain of salt. But that said, there are things that we've seen through investments from the campaigns that can give us some indications as to what's happening on the ground. Biden has had some difficulty with Latino voters, specifically in Florida. It's something the campaign has privately admitted to. We have seen that he's polling behind Hillary Clinton among Latino voters, and when it comes to Latino men, for example, they're neck and neck, Biden and Trump. So those are the things that we're kind of keeping an eye on, and I expect that we'll see that turn out in Florida. When it comes to young voters, however, we've seen an incredible outpouring of support, and Biden's investments and outside groups like Tom Steyer, the billionaire from California who ran for president briefly and has this massive operation to turn out young voters, they invested $40 million, and it has paid off. We saw that the poll numbers for Biden among young voters really flipped from May, when they weren't really that interested interested in him till now, where there's a majority of young voters are interested, and we're seeing the turnout numbers from early voting and absentee in states like North Carolina, where there's been a huge increase in young voters turning out.
So, John, you've been focused on election integrity, and we've had the president raising unfounded claims about voter fraud. There have been worries about intimidation at the polls, last-minute court challenges. Were there areas of concern today that people need to know about, and what are you watching on this front tonight?
This is actually one of the good news stories from this entire election cycle. There were a lot of concerns because of the president's rhetoric that some of his supporters would basically go to try to prevent the cheating that he was claiming was going on in places like Philadelphia. He, of course, made these allegations with no evidence, and I've reported, along with many other reporters, on extensively on what happens in terms of cheating and fraud in elections. In short, basically, cheating happens at a small scale level. That's a reality of politics. But expert after expert, Republican, Democrat, and nonpartisan, are adamant that there's no way to rig a statewide election, much less a national election. So the concern was not necessarily that there would be poll watchers, because those are part of the process, but that people who were not poll watchers, who had not gone through accreditation, who had not signed up with the party and been basically approved to be inside the polling place, would go and stand outside polling places and act in an intimidating way. And I think probably even some of the caravans that we saw from Trump supporters in places like New York over the weekend heightened some of those concerns. The good news is there were random, isolated reports of a few things here and there, but really we had a pretty stress-free day. I think a lot of that probably was the fact that there was so much early voting and voting by mail. And so I'm really grateful and happy that we didn't have anything of consequence happen at the polls.
So right now, going back to the election center, we do have another state that has been called for Joe Biden, Virginia. So now we have Biden with Vermont and Virginia, and President Trump with Kentucky and West Virginia. Right now, going pretty much according to plan, Andy Serwer, as you had pointed out earlier. Andy, look, it is not just about who wins the presidency. There are a lot of major races down ballot, including the balance of power in the Senate. I mean, Democrats are seeking to pick up enough seats to take control of the Senate for the first time since 2015. We've got 35 seats up for grabs tonight. Which states here do we need to be looking at, and also to give us, an early look at who will ultimately have the majority?
Yeah, I mean, you're right, it's the other big battle. President Trump has said the House is in play. Most people aren't buying that, but the Senate very much so. And, the Democrats, frankly, do have some advantages here. They really only have one very vulnerable seat, and that's Doug Jones in Alabama running against Tommy Tuberville, the former Auburn football coach. But if you look at Maine, Susan Collins, of course, that's a very high-profile race. She's in for the fight of her life against Sarah Gideon. Place like Colorado with John Hickenlooper, he could pick up a seat, as well as in Arizona. Looks good for the Democrats as well, with Mr. Kelly over there. So there's definitely some bright spots potentially, but it's going to be tough. I mean, people a number of weeks ago said Susan Collins is done in Maine. Now that's tightened up, and it may not be the case, although there's ranked choice voting there. So that's another whole thing to get into in that state. But it also depends on how things sort of pan out. I mean, in other words, you go Georgia, a lot of people said, oh, that's going to flip blue. But you have two Senate races there that are probably going to be too close to call. There may be a runoff in January. If there's a blue wave, not only does the president win Georgia and they pick up two Senate seats, I think that's probably going to be pretty unlikely. But, all this stuff is still outstanding. Right now, we really don't know anything yet because, as we've both been saying, Jen, things have sort of played out according to plan and consensus, and nothing unusual or indicative, indeed, has happened yet.
And we just have to note again the absolute historic voter turnout that we've had, with 100 million ballots cast before polls even opened today. Tara, Andy brought up the Alabama race with Doug Jones' Senate seat, which has been, expected to possibly be a loss for Democrats. You've also been writing about the Michigan Senate race and the GOP pouring money in there as possible another kickoff for Democrats. Is that still one to be watching tonight?
I think it's one that Republicans definitely want us to be watching. When it comes to the two seats that Republicans had a chance at this cycle, obviously Doug Jones in Alabama is a much easier win for Republicans. I wouldn't feel comfortable calling Michigan's the Senate race a toss-up at the moment. I think Trump would have to be doing a little bit better in the polls for that to be the case. He and his campaign have really seen his decline in Michigan, and we saw a real rebuke of Republican leadership in the state over the past 4 years. So those are kind of positive signs for Democrats. But the Michigan case is interesting. You have this incumbent Democratic senator who was a relative unknown to just about 36% of the electorate going into this election cycle. And you have this really strong, what Republicans see as a strong candidate, a strong recruit in John James, who is a veteran, young, black entrepreneur in Michigan.
I mean, it's not
and
perfect.
who has been Republicans have just been
but
pouring so much money into this race. And even in the final weekend, the super PAC aligned with Mitch McConnell poured millions more into this race. They really see it as their only opportunity to kind of stave off a Democratic takeover.
Let's get some final thoughts from John. John, you had pointed to the Miami-Dade results that were coming in. We know Florida's critical. What other states right now, where will you start to move to? What other numbers are you looking at right now that are key?
Sure. I mean, I think now that we know Florida's going to be close, I think that's pretty clear. And actually, it looks like Trump actually is likely to win in Florida. I think that people are going to be looking at 4 states: Georgia, North Carolina, Ohio, and Arizona. Arizona will come in a little later. If Trump wins all of those, then it goes to Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. If Biden wins 3 of those 4, any 3 of those 4, I think he can get away with winning just Wisconsin and Michigan. So those are the states in play. I would disagree with Andy a little bit here. I think we've seen a seismic development with the numbers from Miami-Dade. Biden supporters are not going to be happy to hear this, but it's a pretty big blow to Biden, and I think it changes the trajectory of the night potentially.
Yeah, I agree with John. I maybe should have made that point that actually that is an indication that there's trouble there. And also I agree with what he's saying, that there's places that he can make this up, but not a good scenario in Florida. And if he doesn't pick up some of these states, you guys, then we're just back to where we were in 2016.
It is a long night ahead of us. Again, we are getting glimpses, and we will continue to follow all of the data here. You can also follow along on the Yahoo Election Center as well. The same map that we have up there. You can take a look at that on your own, and we will be back with more election coverage at 9:30 p.m. Andy Serwer, John Ward, and Tara Goldstein, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Again, we're back at 9:30 p.m. with more coverage here on Yahoo.
I can't put box. How the hell did I get here? Okay. I got some darks over there. Let me get some darks here and there, some prices. Watercolor study. Red cup. Finish the eye. Let's see, just the side of the face, yeah.